Perfect. So I'm gonna have a really quick hands-on talk about a Unity Cloud build. I think it was more interesting and quicker also to prepare to have a talk, just seeing how it works, than actually, have some slides about it. So yeah, basically, to give, I wanna actually have a really cool picture that I think it really shows what is the point with Cloud Build. And some of you guys that are old schoolers will really get it right away. Is this little nice picture? I think it's from the 80s or 90s. That really means what we programmers used to do when we have to compile. No, we find a lot of creative ways to spend our time. No, while the machine was compiling. Some of them, of course, be doing nerdy Dungeons and Dragons or stuff like that. Super cool stuff. Yeah, so let's jump to Unity Cloud Build. And the whole point with Unity Cloud Build is we're going to have a system that is going to be watching our repository where we are storing our source code and our assets, and it's going to make builds for us, and it's going to deliver us the build. So we just need to spend less time on preparing all these things and making builds and all the stuff. We don't have to do it. There's some automated system that is going to do that repetitive task for us, and we can just spend more time on doing our game or coding, which is what we like. A little bit more in depth, basically how that thing works. We basically, as I explained, we have the repository. The repository has the code, it has the assets. The cloud build itself is a server with a service that is actually is pulling from our repository, is starting to make a build, and is after it's building the players, we can configure as many player builds or platforms as we want, or as they are supported in the cloud build. I can tell you by heart that it supported the Windows builds, the Android builds, iOS builds. Very good if you don't have money for buy a Mac. And yeah, then there is this distribution service, which is gonna take care of that already ready build, serve it to you via mail, to your phone, or to your email. Then we start it in the desktop. Yeah, that's it. So do I have another one? Yeah. Well, of course, if you want to know more in detail, there is a really cool tutorial from Unity guys. Actually, it has some time, but it's has been up to date. It's already working since Unity 5, I think. Okay, that's a long time. Yeah, he explained everything, how you can connect the different repositories that are supported, and blah, 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 that you guys can check. And I'm just going to show super quick how it goes. So this is our Unity project. I made a project as much complex I could do. So we have a wonderful button here that say click me. If you don't understand, please stop me, okay? And there has a script inside that is just, when you click on the button, it's just gonna make an additive operation and it's gonna display it on the label. No? So that is our project. And we want to build it, and we want to have it in our iPhone, and we don't have a Mac, or we want to have it in our Android, and we need to do something else instead of making a build for Android and blah, blah, blah. So we go into our, well, first, we just get sure to push our changes. I can actually just make a change now. Let's just make a quick change in the code or in the scene. Why not? Let's move this one a little bit more down because it's in a position I don't like. So we save the scene. We have built lighting because Unity is having lighting enabled by default in a UI scene, which makes absolutely sense. So let's just kill this stuff. Let's just kill this guy also. Okay, let's save. And let's push our sample scene. Move button down, because it's always important to put a message in the comments so our colleagues can see in the future. And then we push. By the way, if somebody recognizes this is fork Git client, super cool, made, it's very cheap and it's made by cool people. So if you don't know which client to use and you are using source tree, which is okay, this one is you can just give some cash to these guys because they're making a good job and it works super fast. Okay, so and they are not, I'm not sponsoring them, by the way. So yeah, I have just pushed this change is already here. We have pushed to our server, and now we can go to Unity Cloud build. Here, this is the build history that we have in Unity Cloud build. We are just gonna build our Android one again. I will not build iOS because I don't know if it's gonna fail. No, of course I will build after, but we can let it. This is gonna be building in the background. We have when you get Unity Cloud build, it's included in the Pro accounts. If you have any Pro accounts already included, if not, I think that you have a free account or you have the Plus account. I think the Plus account is not included. I think it's $5 per month, the whole team's services. But it saves a lot of time. So I would say it's worth it until you find another way to do it yourself. You can have time to make your own build server or whatever. That's also an option. So we are building our Android build, and we are gonna see what is this, from where is coming this, all this dev Android and all these targets that we have here defined. So when we are creating a build in Unity, I'm just gonna refresh. So if for all of you to know, we usually have to set up what?
There is one question. Matthias is asking if it's included in the student pack. Do you know by any chance?
I have zero idea about that, but I think that there is also a kind of student option also for the teams. So if it's not included by default, you can request also as a student to have access to the team's services, and then you have the clubbing.
Okay.
Yeah, when we are building normally in Unity, when we build locally, we select the platform you want to build, and then you have here the button for build, or you can build and run. No, and here in the player settings, well, here you can just set the scenes that you're going to include in the build, and then some very generic options. No? And then in the player settings, you can select the company name, the product name, the version, super important. And then for the specific platform that you have active, you can set the icons that you're going to use, that they are going to be included in the build, resolutions available, orientations that you want to use. If you're going to use a splash image or the Unity logo, that we have it here, or on some other settings that you want to set, specific for rendering settings or for compiling, or the bundle ID, another super important one. Look, we have still the name for innovation logs. The scripting backend, most probably is very interested to use IL to CPP already. Yes, so all these options that you have here, and one of the very most important when you are coding options, which is the scripting defined symbols. If you want to make code that is not being compiled or is not being included in your compilation, then you can just define some macros here, and then those macros is the same like the macros that Unity has by default for define if you want to use a previous version of Unity or a newer version of Unity for specific API functions that are not available anymore or that are deprecated or stuff like that. So here you can define your define symbols. So basically this is and then you have some publishing settings that in Android, for example, is about setting up the key store or customizing the manifest. And in other platforms it's different. Like for example, in iOS, you can just do You can just set the team ID for signing, but you don't have to, because you do it in Xcode. So this is how you usually make or set up a local build. So how it works when we have Unity Cloud Build. So when we have Unity Cloud Build, you have these targets. And what you do when you set out a target is, okay, let's just create one target. We are going to make a target for iOS, for Android, so for WebGL, macOS, well, and all the other ones are desktop builds. No? There is still apparently no support for other platforms, because I guess it's not that much straightforward for them. Nintendo, for example, or PlayStations, you need specific approval from those to be able to access those building tools. So let's say we are making a WebGL. Let's risk it. And these are the options you have when you're gonna create by default a new configuration for building for that platform. So we are gonna put a name that is easy for us to identify: WebGL development. If you guys have naming conventions in your company, this is a field that is cool, because after you can do webhooks or stuff like that are going to connect that specific target being built to whatever else you want to do. Then we select the branch that we want to be observed. For example, development. If we have a subfolder, because we don't have the Unity project in the root. In our case, we do have the Unity project in the root, do we? Yes, of course. Open File Explorer. So Unity folder is in the root. But if you have it inside another folder, then you can just put the folder you want, and it will build. So if you have multiple Unity projects or whatever, then you select the Unity versions you want to use. You can use betas, or you can use the latest version of 2021 or 2020 that is already in LTS. Or if you are already in production and your application is more sensible for changes in Unity patches, then you probably want to use a specific version on the cloud, the same that you are using locally, so you don't have surprises. No? And then we have two options: auto build, which is making that every time that we make a commit into development, is going to start a new build. And auto cancel, that is doing is that if it's detecting that you are making a build and you have a new change and you can make a new build, then it's canceling the one that is in progress. So because the one probably in progress is not doesn't make sense for you to still build it anymore. No? That's it. And then you click on next, and this button by default, when you are creating a target, it's just bring you to the build screen, and it's just starting to build. But when you are configuring and you are editing this basic info, this button is safe. So when you are used to when you are used to create a lot of in parallel, remember that if you click on build, it will just start piling builds there, and maybe you don't want when you're making the initial setup. By the way, schedule build is an option that is new, and I have no idea what it does, but here is an information here. Okay, you can put a date here. Awesome. So you can, oh, nice. And you can tell if it's a clean build or no. Do you guys know what is a clean build? Well, if you don't know what is a clean build, it's basically when you want to clean the cache of a build before it's being built. So it's for sure. Lucas, you know what is a clean build. Don't put that face. We know you. Don't cheat. Okay, so then we save. And we have a lot of other extra options. In the case, these are tail. Don't put faces, but these are tailored for whatever platform this target is oriented to. So in this case, we have advanced options for WebGL that allows you to set a strict mode. That means if there is any warning, it will not build. pre-export and post-export methods. These are methods that you can call from your Unity code. They are static classes. You can put these ones here, and it will run. And then there are scripts. These scripts are not Unity scripts. These are console scripts. Like if you have if this is going to be run, iOS builds are running a Mac, so you can make bash scripts, for example, that are being run here. And Android nowadays and Windows, they are just built on a Windows machine, so you can, I guess you can do some batch script or something like that. And it will just trigger whatever you want to trigger in that script. Like if you want to do rearrangement of files or changing your, I don't know, the configuration of the server, because you need to do something. The server has some setting to be able to build your build in the way you need. Then we have custom defines. This I'm gonna open this because you can see more detail. Where was custom defines? Here. So this list of custom defines is the same list that you guys have here in the macros. So the scripting define. You can put here, you have some. You can have, for example, that is a debug build. So you have a macro for debug. This is always, and these ones are additive. So whatever you have in your Unity by default is going to be added with all the stuff that you have here. So if you don't want that they get additive, just don't put it on. Don't put it by default on the Unity project. And then here you can add a list, like, I don't know, my service. I can put another one that is the back. That's it. Just that two, no? Or you can remove them if you want. And then you have here a list of scenes. This is not overriding. This is not additive. This is overriding. So it will replace whatever list of a scene you have active by default in your Unity. For example, imagine instead of building our project is very simple. We have a sample scene, but we might have let's duplicate this one. And we have a specialist scene for web, because in our web, our application is going to do something different. So we have it here. We don't need to have here, because this is it's just needed to be in the project. And then we just add the scene here. How was called sample something? Copy paste. It's here to save us. That. And that's it. And then you can just build the project, including that scene. It will, for that platform, web one that we are doing, the project will have that scene, and in another one it will have another scene, if you want to do that. What else? I'm gonna save. Then we have environmental variables. This is something you might want to use if you are using the scripts. So if you have a bash script, you can create here. Look, I'm gonna tell you one trick that is like that you can use nowadays super normally. You guys have used Unity packages, the new ones, or you have probably seen that there are some other websites, like I think we are going to see here with the top link. But if we enter open UPM, this website is going to save a lot of ways your life as a developer. You have a lot of packages here from Unity, and they can be installed, and you just install the server from Unity package and from OpenUPM, and you can get those packages here in the package manager. You can also install by Git or locally, but that's an extra way to do them. And if you have your own server with an authentication required, you need to do something locally in your machine to allow the authentication to go through, because for authenticate, usually you need an authentication token, which is a token that is given to you by the server to identify you, and then you can download packages from that server. But you cannot do that in on the cloud build because you don't own that server. You don't know that server how to put authentication there. So there is a very simple trick you can do that is actually explained in the Unity forums. So it's not something I invent, but I saw it a very cool idea. You basically can create a local script, like a bash script, where you will create that file that contains the authentication token in the local machine that is running the build. So the machine that is running the build will be able to authenticate, pull those packages, and then make the build. If I find it, I will just maybe give it to you, and you can put it in the comments down below. Okay, so I'm getting all YouTuber now. Okay, so that is the where we were. Here. Let's go back to our Unity Cloud build configuration. So this is one of the use for environmental variables. Anything that we want to add, we want to put a variable name here. Here we will create the token, for example, that we know, and we can inject it to the local machine that is building. And then we have some extra super cool options, like if you have asset bundles in your project, you can tell Unity Cloud Build, hey, build me also asset bundles of this platform when you are building this, or copy these asset bundles to streaming assets when you finish, because you can do both things at the same time. And if you guys know how asset bundles work, asset bundles are always platform dependent. So you will need to make asset bundles when you're using asset bundles. You will need to make asset bundles for iOS and also for Android and also for WebGL if you're using asset bundles. And then addressables, you can also build addressables. Addressable is the new asset bundles from Unity. So if you guys have used it and know how it works, yeah, it's an iteration. It works more nicely than asset bundles but for some of others, me, for example, personally, you build already with that much time systems for support and to handle nicely the asset bundles, that the addressable is just not adding you no value, no. But if you are starting from scratch, addressable is the way to go for have remote content. No? And then you have also test options, and this is also super cool. That means if you have unit tests in your project, you can make that the Unity Cloud Build run those tests, either edit test or play test, and if it fails, then it doesn't continue with the build. So yeah, for the one of you that have time to build unit tests in your projects, especially on games, it's an awesome feature, of course, because then it's just saving time. What to make a whole build and then make especially in iOS, thinking iOS, you first need to build the Unity from Unity an Xcode project, and then from Xcode you have to make the build. So it will just save you a lot of time on having something that doesn't work correctly. Did we finish our build already? We should have finished the build. Okay, it's thinking. So while it's thinking, let's just, I don't know. Build WebGL and it failed. Probably, well, let's dig into the look. This is like if I was preparing it, but we can see the configuration log, and it's gonna say, hey, the sample scene web that you told me that I should include, I don't know what it is. Why? Because I just created while I was talking with you guys, and it's not in the server. So obviously it's not gonna work. No, we have to commit this, but we're actually gonna do something nice because we have the build set. I think the build is set up for watch the auto build. Yes, awesome. So we're gonna watch the history, how it's being updated automatically, the magic of Unity Cloud Build. And we are gonna add the scene, and we are gonna tell yes, why not? Added web scene. gonna push. This is push. So we go to the cloud build, and it should watch. May have to refresh here. And it should start at one point. Let's see how quick it is. But before, anyway, I'm just gonna change because it's just pointless to be watching. There is some special interesting features of the other platform, especially Android and iOS. There is a section here that you haven't seen in the web one, which is the signing credentials. So you know, for Android and iOS, Android, you need to put the key store. So here you can upload the key store because you might want to have builds that are development builds without any specific key store. And you want to have store ones that, oh, this one doesn't have. Does the staging have? It doesn't have. Okay, we didn't put in anyone. But you can create the key store that you are going to use for going to the live with your application. And you can just have it here, store it here. It will be stored in the cloud. Good for not losing, although you should always keep it yourself, the key store somewhere safe. Don't throw the keys somewhere far. And the same for iOS. In iOS, here you can have, look here, we have, for example, already the wildcard, very typical for making development builds. And you can store them here and use different credentials for different builds, which makes total sense. And you have all of the stuff already configured for one project, all the different targets that you're going to build, and all the different environments, if it's development one or if it's a production one for going live. And you just click and it will build, and you can just continue making your game, or you can go take a coffee. It's also nice. But before I finish, maybe I can show, yes, in the extra options in advance. For example, for Android is you can split the application binary or build already app bundles. This is already mandatory for Google Play Store builds since August of this year for new apps. So it's good to have it here. And then if you use, for example, if you know iOS into iOS development, you can also even have Fastlane to be used. So there are a few cool stuff here that you can do for every platform. One of the coolest that it will be super handy for you would be the pre-export method or the post-export method. I think I mentioned already to you guys. So the way to have this call is you can have, is the pre-process build or it was the post-process build? Pre-debug export. Okay, so it should be this. Maybe it's not. Yes. So you can create a static method somewhere in your code. It doesn't matter where. If, of course, if you want to, this is a script that you can call from the Unity Cloud Build for do extra stuff for you. Imagine you want to strip things from a scene, or you want to change something to put a watermark or whatever you want to do in the editor. You know, from editor code, you can do anything inside of the editor. Also, some things outside, like changing files and whatever. But that you can get sure that the build calls this function before it's starting to build. So you can go through scenes, modify stuff, adding prefabs, removing prefabs, changing any hardcore values or changing IDs of stuff. Yeah, and this after you call it in the, you can just put one. I have already asked Unity, hey, can we put a list here and say, no, man, just put the function that you have, the main one, and after call multiple things if you want inside of the function. Okay, no? So you put the number of the name of the class, dot, and the name of the function. And that's it. Static, public, very important. And that's it. And then it will run and it will do whatever you have put there to be done. Is it already building web, or it has failed? He's like, look at that, wonderful. So it takes his time. He has to think, do you really want me to do? Because I don't know, you haven't told me nowhere, but you put me to be automatic. So, okay, I'm gonna do it. No? And after this period, then he did. It's gonna take a few seconds. The previous one, you can see here in the other ones, the specific settings that it was doing. Like, for example, it was taking altogether 8 minutes, 4 minutes thinking on the immortality of the life of a crab, I guess. I don't know. That's the time, waiting time. And then the checkout time means that configuration is being pulled from the server, is checking out, and then after it's going to build. And it took 4 times to build. Altogether 8 minutes. This is the target that was being used to build, if it was clean or not. The Unity version specific that is being used, we are using a beta one, and it's working. Well, we are not doing much stuff, so it will be bad. The specific commits, if you want to know for whatever reason, if you are debugging or something, 3317. You can see, yeah, 3317 was that one, because it was the previous one. Yes, I'm selecting what it was from the workspace altogether. That's it. And when it's built, you can also see the size here, or some other things, the bundle ID. Yeah, that's for Android. And the next very interesting option that you can do is automatically send the build to a user or to whatever users you want. I think these ones here, you can do it from here, share link, or you can have in the settings automatically that the automatic build sharing is enabled. Here is disabled. And then you can put, okay, automatic sharing, then it will disable. Okay. Didn't refresh, or is the same? It's saying enable. Okay, so it will share with the list of users you have. I think you have to have the in credential or other section, but because this is the company account, I'm just gonna disable and not look for problems tomorrow. But you can do it per build basic also. If you don't have any other service for do that, for make the distribution, that's a totally fine way to do, to just receive the bills, and you can just put the emails and they will get the email, and you will just download the bill from the Unity service. Another option is that you use some other service for distribution. You can use test flight or multiple things, but yeah, that's
can is it also in the deployment section? Is that also about distributing?
It can be. To be honest, this part I haven't used. There is a lot to discover in the cloud.
Okay.
It's an uncharted land. Yes, but here is a distribution. You can distribute only organization owners. Okay, sorry. So I gotta do it. You can also simulate here, because the deployment with this you can actually directly also submit to stores, which is also very nice. You don't have in iOS, you need to have when you need to build it locally, and you need to use the specific tool for uploading to the store, or use Xcode to upload into the store. And yeah, that's really cool. I'm not sure if actually Unity support uploading to the Apple store, or Apple force you still to use the tool. But yeah, for all the multiple Android store that exists, Huawei, Xiaomi, Samsung, Google Play, yeah. So yeah, and that's it. I don't know if you guys have any question, any other idea.
May I add something, Danny?
Yes, sure.
I think one of the nice things of cloud build is, like, if you imagine you want to change the builds, like from WebGL to Android to iOS, whatever, to Windows. Every time you change your player settings, Unity will import all your assets again. So this takes a lot of time, just switching between the platforms.
Exactly.
And you don't have to do that in the cloud build. So it saves you alone that saves you a lot of time. Or you have 3 computers and every computer has the same repository and then
Exactly.
builds
Or you save the space also.
Yeah,
Another
that's
option
true.
was to make 3 checkouts or 20 checkouts of the different
Exactly.
one.
So
Well, not 20, no, but per platform, no, and you make those changes. Yeah.
I once had a project where it took really 1.5 days just to switch the platform. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
it's like compile time.
Yeah. A lot of coffees and yeah, kitchen talks.
Yeah.
Nice.
And-
Okay. So I guess on my side, I'm done.
Did you also want to show the build result, or?
It's building.
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
it do actually?
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Maybe we can test it later as well.
Mhm.
Then he shares the link afterwards when
I share the link.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's a goodie for.
I mean, it's a
all-
WebGL build. I could just share the WebGL that
Yeah.
was being built.
Yeah, true. The pre-export function, I think sometimes can also be useful if you have an asset or a package that is doing something in the editor and your build depends on it. I don't know,
Yeah.
like some pre-processing.
Exactly.
And often these are not triggered by default in the asset build, in the cloud build. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Whatever is not I mean, you have 2 options to. Well, I don't know if there are more. There are a few options in Unity to make a pre-processor and post-processors. You have an attribute that you can put in a function that was more old school. Then they also create one specific interface or one class that you could inherit, and it also can override the functions for post-processing. Those are kind of like always called automatically, even from the cloud build. And then there is also one specific function. I don't know if I can, but I can search about it. That will be automatically called from the cloud build that has a parameter that is the cloud build report. So you can actually modify things of the cloud build. Imagine we used to use that one for because when you're building in Unity, you have the version and you have the build number, no? And build number is always important. You have to increment it, and it's, for example, in Google, the one that is being used to distinguish an app from another. You always have to be an upper one, no? So you can just use the numbers that you have here near the build targets. Every build that you have done, it has like 1, 2, 20, whatever. You can always override and say, hey, for this build, I want you to put that the build number is the build number that is appearing in the cloud build, and you get that from the report. So you always have a way to link, okay, this build was this one, I can find it there. Yeah, it has a lot of uses. Oh,
cool.
It failed the build. What is now?
We will cut that out of the video. Okay.
So I want to ask,
Gottfried, you're muted.
I want to ask a question. What is the differences your cloud build and Unity standard collaboration system?
You mean the Unity collab?
Yeah. What is the main differences between them?
Between Unity collab and
your system?
Okay. So Unity collab is kind of like, if you were seeing here, maybe I can share screen again. Should I?
Sure.
Let's go. It's gonna be easier to explain. So what I was using here to work and to put versions of code is, this is a client, but this is Git, no? And it's using a server which is GitLab. You actually can create GitLab account, GitLab. But if you have been checking code, you will see. I know this is JFrog. GitLab. You have GitLab. You have GitHub. You also have Bitbucket. So they are from major companies. So So Bitbucket is from Atlassian. It's a kind of versioning system. GitLab is from another GitLab company. And there is GitHub, which is from GitHub. And you can create here project repositories. You can save your projects there, and every time you make a change, you can also save it. Is basically what you are doing with Unity Collab. Unity Collab, it's all an all-in solution, more easy for if you are not used to how these tools work, because it's just integrated in the editor, and it does allows you to push changes up and down. These ones give you a bit more control. The only downfall with Unity Collab is that Unity Collab is not supported by Unity Cloud Build. It's a bit ridiculous, but they don't support their own tool. No, you can do it via.
Really?
Yes. No. it's
Oh, okay.
you can do it via hook, so you can pull your Unity Collab project into a Git project, and then from the Git project to Unity Cloud Build. But there is another actually Unity tool for work with versions, so to make changes and to be able to go back to those changes, and that is Plastic. Plastic is owned by Unity. It's the new tool that they recommend to use, and I don't know what is going to happen with Unity Collab, to be honest. But Plastic is another system that it works very similar to Git. So it's kind of like works very similar to here. You make changes, you push them to the server. But Plastic is really good also to handle big binaries, like 3D data and stuff like that. If you guys also have heard about Perforce, it's very similar to Perforce, and you have also easy tools to use, like for make difference in between images and 3D data, so easy for artists, but it's not free.
I think Collab is often helpful if you maybe have 3D artists who are not used to JIT.
Exactly.
Because most of the developers are usually used to using JIT, but for artists, if JIT is very complex or complicated, and if you're not used to it, it can be painful to figure out the workflow.
Exactly.
And Collab, I think, makes it a little bit more easy.
Yeah, it's just a pity for everybody. And actually, you can also see a lot in the forums of Unity that they say, hey, you guys have a tool for versioning and you don't support it in your tool for building. So it's a bit, I don't know what is going to happen with that. Maybe they add support at one point. At the moment, there is no. I mean, so far, I neither saw when we can just check, but she was failing. I think that something is off with the scene. Maybe I have to add it to the player settings.
No worries.
But here you see the ones that are the source control that are available are Plastic, GitHub, Bitbucket, and GitLab. It doesn't show Collab, so I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe you have to activate it in some different configuration UI or something.
No. Sorry, I was not sharing the screen. The source when you are selecting the source control for your configurations, you can here change it. Here is connected to our Git, but you can change, and these are the ones that are available: Plastic, GitHub, Bitbucket, and GitLab. So, or you put here something manual, and I don't know if you can get details of.
Do you have to activate the cloud build also from within the editor? I think you can activate the Collab exactly. There as well. Yeah, maybe just if you activate it here, maybe it already it gets connected automatically with the cloud build.
But I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's maybe something that could be checked. I don't have the collab.
Yeah, the documentation says that it should support it,
Okay.
but you have to enable it somehow first.
Yeah, it's probably possible somehow.
Mhm.
It's-
Okay. Well, I mean, that would be nice because there really were complaints about, yeah.
It says if you have the collab active in the project, then somehow if both are active or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Well,
Thank
nice.
you, Daniel.
Bitte,
Thank you
bitte.
very much for the great talk.